All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard Options Weapons School for July of 2024. I'm really fired up about this. We haven't done a good academic training in about a year-ish, so I'm fired up to knock this out. Used to be called Full Throttle. We're going to call Full Throttle the live training aspect of this during market hours when we're actually applying what we learned in our briefs. So the primary brief Tuesdays at 10 a.m., the accelerated retirement brief Wednesdays at 10 a.m., that'll be Full Throttle. And then at night or whenever we do these sessions, we're going to call these Options Weapons School. So whether you're an Air Force fighter pilot, Marine, or Navy, naval aviator, you went to the weapons school to go get your mind right and learn to put your flowing robes on and then go back to the fleet or your squadron with all the knowledge. So that's why we're going to stick with our nomenclature terminology of Options Weapons School. So the live training this week, we're going to knock out session 1. Right now, I'm going to cover all of my intelligence sources, folks. Trading is a form of combat. Now, you get your ass kicked, you get to go home at night, right? Combat, maybe you don't, okay? So if you think of trading as a form of combat, why wouldn't you use the same methodologies, procedures that kept me safe over the skies of Iraq, the skies of Fallon at the weapons school, TOPGUN, in your trading? We're going to talk through that. So you need your intelligence sources. Every morning I get up and I'm going to run you through the routine that I do. Take it, leave it, adjust it, use it. Then we're going to talk and step through some investing basics. Folks, this ain't hard. This is not rocket surgery. A little bit of elbow grease, a little bit of time. You can be a Jedi master of investing. Trust me. I've gone from being a lowly retail trader to helping manage a multi-billion-dollar volatility arbitrage firm. And then I sat here at this desk and made about $2.5 million in a couple weeks as the experts, the smart money, cried on CNBC as the COVID crash happened. Oh, stocks are at the bottom. I'd be a buyer of stocks here. Donald Trump, stocks are looking good here. I'd buy stocks. Believe me, trust me, this is the market bottom. The next day, the Dow went down 3,000 points. There is no such thing as the smart money, folks. And if there is, we're it. And then obviously towards the end of the brief, I'm going to step through our tactical trade planning process. If you are not trading with a plan, you're an idiot. Did you not hear me when I said trading is a form of combat? You do not go into combat without a plan. Now, whether it's Mike Tyson or General Patton, most people will say no plan survives the first bullet shot at you or getting punched in the face. But it is something to deviate from. Right? Matter of fact, if you ever listen to an air-to-air engagement or you listen to communications of a normal mission in combat, nobody's saying a word. If everything's going as briefed, it's quiet. As a matter of fact, in today's fighter aircraft or attack aircraft, ain't no talking at all because it's all popping up on the screens. The only time some of you on the Discovery Channel or History or whatever, you see, tapes of yelling and screaming over the radio is what? When things aren't going as briefed, right? But I guarantee you, they at least contingency planned about, hey, if the shit hits the fan, we're going to do X, Y, Z. Okay. Very rarely when you're airborne does something come up that just aliens appeared out of the blue, right? Not going to happen. So we're going to talk through our tactical trade plan. Before I forget, over in the materials tab right now, go grab your GDUNK. Go grab your stuff. We have an options pocket checklist. We have a trade plan. We have a one-page trade plan that we're going to step through as we go through our planning process later. Wednesday night, we're going to talk about options basics. Now, if you're sitting here going, I heard options are dangerous and creepy. You also heard that psychedelics are bad, right? If you listened to people in authority and you believe them, you're also an idiot. Options were designed in the early 70s in a back room with white dudes in suits smoking cigars. Hey, instead of coming out of pocket a shit ton of money to buy stocks, why don't we have like an options contract? Like, let's just say one options contract equals 100 shares. So instead of spending $100,000 to buy this stock, I can buy it for 10 grand. Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, if you understood that little story, you're an options trader. You have been told, oh, dangerous and derivatives are scary and bad by people who essentially don't want you doing it or trading. There's no way when they came out with options in the smoke filled rooms of New York and Chicago that they ever envisioned an internet or the unwashed masses like you and I being options traders. Does everybody understand that, right? So, options are not dangerous. They are less dangerous than stocks, and they also give you what? Leverage. Now, leverage can be bad, right? If you're wrong, but leverage can be awesome if you're right. That's why people are like, oh, options give you a lot of leverage. Yeah. Like I tell my students in the fighter squadron, don't suck. If you suck, leverage sucks. If you're good, leverage is good. So stop listening to people who, oh, options are dangerous and bad because they're ignorant. Thursday, we're going to do 10 a.m. in the morning. I'm not going to do a Thursday night. I've been burning the candle at both ends. I've been on psychedelic retreats. I've been to Stanley Cup games. I've been back out to Aspen to fly a fighter jet. Now I'm doing this stuff. I need a night off. We're going to do it tomorrow morning or Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Building block approach in our training. Talk about options, basics. Then we're going to take a baby steps to covered calls, collars, cash secured puts. Then baby steps next week into spreads. Building block approach. I'm not going to give you a parachute, a rifle, and drop you in Afghanistan. And if you're Joe Biden, leave you behind. I'm going to send you to flight school in Pensacola. This is a wing. This is airflow. This is the weather. This is an engine. You take a building block approach. When I showed up at Naval Air Station Pensacola, one of the guys in my flight school class lived in Montana. His first flight in an airplane was from like the University of Montana to Pensacola Naval. Never seen an airline or an airplane before. And in a short amount of time, they got him to be a steely-eyed fighter pilot. That's the approach that we take with training you how to trade options. So what do you need to trade successfully? If you're brand new to investing or trading, and those words, technically they're interchangeable, right? I'm a trader. I'm an investor. And maybe trading is tactical, shorter term, and investing's longer. Okay, we can split hairs if you want to do that. But in order to invest long term, you need to place a trade. So it's up to you. If you hear those two terms, I use them interchangeably. I'm an investor. Maybe at a cocktail party, I don't drink anymore, but you could use the term, oh, I'm an investor. Okay, great. Or I'm a trader. All right, that's over a couple beers. Do whatever you want. But what do you need to invest or trade successfully? Three things. Solid training. I didn't say edumacation, did I? The world, to steal part of a Calvin Coolidge quote, is full of educated derelicts. Look at our institutions. Look at Harvard or Yale. Absolute shitholes of stupid people. You need to be trained. Fighter pilots are trained. Doctors are trained. Attorneys, plumbers are trained. You ever try plumbing? You end up calling a trained plumber, right? So we're going to take that building block approach like I told you about. A tight plan. The last quarter of this brief will be an in-depth dive into our trade plan. What is a good trade plan, folks? It has a strategy supported by tactics where we manage risk. Look at the top left of this slide. Discipline and risk management equal what? Superior execution. We're going to contingency plan. Before we place any trade, we ask, what could go wrong during the life of this trade that I can talk about now before I place it? Most people figure out or try to figure out what to do when something goes wrong during the trade. Wrong. The time for me to decide what I'm going to do if I get shot at by a missile over Afghanistan ain't when that happens. I make that decision sitting in the ready room on the ship, sipping on my venti upside down caramel macchiato, and I chair fly it. I'm going to do this with my hands. I'm going to put out these jammers, these flares, these chaff. I'm going to brake. And then when it happens, I'm calm as and cool as a cucumber. We're going to debrief after every trade. What worked, what didn't. We're going to write down our lessons learned on our trade plan and move forward. So what do you need to trade successfully? Training, you're getting it. A tight plan, you're getting it at the end of this brief, and a practical application. All right, I'm trained. I got my plan together. Now you got to go out and do it. And that's what full throttle is during the day, right? Our live trade briefs. Hey, last night we talked about an iron condor in training, and today we're going to do one. In the military, we call it what? Demo, do. I'm going to demonstrate. In training, you got the controls. You're going to go do it. How do I know what you need to be successful? I've been you, folks. I've had these. All right, I just read a book on trading options, folks. Not to get too sad, but I learned to trade before Al Gore invented the internet. I think I went to the library. We had libraries, right, on Naval Air Station Lemoore and checked out a book on options. I had to read a book. So I rose from being a self-taught, lowly lieutenant in the Navy to helping run a multi-billion-dollar volatility arbitrage firm. So I've done it. This is what I know you need to be successful. You ain't me, but you technically are. We are all born of the same cosmic stardust. I am you and you are me. This meat puppet might be different, but we are the same underneath. All right, here we go. Ready? Intel sources, investing basics, and tactical trade planning. Let's go. Here are my intelligence sources. And quick reminder, in here, I think there's a camera icon at the top of the window you're looking at me in. Click the camera and you can take a screenshot of what I'm showing on the screen, or grab a pen, piece of paper, and start writing. Here we go. This is the minimum of what I look at and I do. Okay, let's start with first things first. If you do not have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, you're a fool. And to be clear, ain't nothing I'm going to brief you on that I get paid to refer people to or whatever. This is it. It's called the Wall Street Journal. When I moved from Keller, Texas to Naperville, Illinois, and got on the Metro every day, 32 minutes from Naperville Express into Union Station, every person on that train had their face buried in the Wall Street Journal. Okay? Print edition or electronic on their Blackberries in 2006, 7. I got my first Blackberry. Ladies and gentlemen, this moves markets. You need to wake up in the morning. You need to meditate. Before you meditate, you take I take a single Maverick Mind capsule. We can talk about that later. Wash my face, brush my teeth, Maverick Mind capsule, meditate. We're going to talk about meditation towards the end. Cup of coffee to yoga. 60-minute hot yoga vinyasa. I come home, Wall Street Journal. Cover to cover. When I got on the Metro the first week and looked at everybody reading the Wall Street Journal, I'm like, okay, I look like an idiot. Let me get the Wall Street Journal. And I started reading. This was 2006 and 7, folks. I learned about CDOs, collateralized debt obligations, CDSs, collateralized default swaps, which blew up everything. I didn't know what those things meant, but I started reading and got it through osmosis. You read this stuff, even if you do not understand it, and I guarantee you, you will eventually understand it. The Wall Street Journal is a must read. The Wall Street Journal moves markets. Did you not see the movie Wall Street? Gordon Gekko, right? Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott Steel. Oh, okay, Wall Street Journal reporter. Breaking news. So, download the app and you will get alerts on your phone that says breaking news from the Wall Street Journal. Unless you are knowing the reporter at the Wall Street Journal and getting a tip a minute before he posts something, you get it like the rest of us. But this is an absolute requirement, ladies and gentlemen. Do not read the the New York Times. It has zero about business. This is the paper of record. We're going to talk in a little bit about another website, and I'm going to come back to the Journal because they end up putting people in jail as well. Okay, so first one, Wall Street Journal. The next one, ladies and gentlemen, that is a requirement to wake up every day is Zero Hedge. This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the best financial websites ever created. A while ago, when it first came out, it was essentially the industry rag. Hey, man, I heard that Goldman Sachs is thinking about buying Heinz ketchup. Posted. They got into a little bit of trouble because Uncle Sam's like, this all looks like insider information. And you guys are just talking to each other about it. Okay, well, all right, then we'll open it up to the unwashed masses. Now it's a massive website. You're going to get some politics in here as well, but you're going to get a ton of trading information. This is an absolute requirement to read. Now, there will be, like I just said, political stuff on here. If you don't think that politics drives the market, you're a fool. Randomly, over the 15 years, or however many years TGO's been around, I'll get people in a live trade brief who are obviously new, go, hey man, enough about your politics, I need trades. And then I right click on their name and I throw them out and ban them because they're idiots. And I have people who are members who are like, I can't stand your politics personally, but you print money. Yeah. If I didn't trade my quote politics, I'd be broke. Let's talk some politics. Jerome Powell is getting ready, the Federal Reserve Chief, to do day 2 of his testimony in front of Congress. It's all politics. Matter of fact, he might cut interest rates in September, a month and a half before an election, of a man who's got dementia and looks like a cadaver. And yes, I believe Joe Biden is going to win. Don't even get me started. So I loved Barack Hussein Obama. Now, pick yourself up off the floor and sit back down. I loved Barack Hussein Obama and the Republicans. Do you all remember government shutdowns? Paul Ryan and who's the Marlboro man? John Boehner, the 2 Republican Speaker of the House is under Obama. We can't agree on a budget. Well, the government's going to shut down. Well, I guess it will. Well, I guess it will too. What would happen? The volatility index, the VIX, would spike. I'd print money. The market would implode. Oh my God, the government's going to shut down. VIX volatility would spike. The market would go down. I'd make about 20 grand a trade like that. And then, even though I'd want the government to shut down forever because it sucks, it would reopen. What would happen? The volatility index would smash and the market would rally. There's another 20 or so grand. I printed money on politics. So on Zero Hedge, you are going to see some political stuff on here because this guy and all the writers here get that politics move the markets. You want to talk about politics real quick when we move over to talk about Obama and your feed froze. That's awesome. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I have a pretty big FBI file there. Another day, look at this one. Another day, another record high, another tech melt up. Exactly. Unusual options activity spotted on GameStop. Microsoft and Apple abruptly drop. OpenAI, folks, this is the big one. So Wall Street Journal, Zero Hedge, period. Okay. Yeah, Daniel, that's exactly right. You want to talk? Let me do a brief rant about politics. In January and February of 2020, I had a deep throat in the White House, so to speak. Wasn't Monica Lewinsky. I knew what was coming. This virus escaped from a level 4 weapons facility, the only level 4 weapons facility in China. And you know what I did? I did outsider trading. I told everybody. I made little old ladies in tennis shoes here at TOPGUN Options into millionaires. Have the proof, have the brokerage accounts. I made me into a multimillionaire. Why? Because I told everybody. I knew the same intel that the senators who left the skiff and went to a microphone. Remember, they investigated 4 of them. And of course, they found nothing wrong with these senators. These senators left that briefing that I kind of knew about, got the same intel I got. And you know what they did? They went to microphones and looked you dead in the eye and said, what? Remain calm. Nothing to be worried about. Everything's fine. Then they picked up their phones. They called their brokers. They got out of everything. They called all their friends, told them to get out of everything, and those friends told their friends. Not a crime, apparently, because they were investigated. You don't think politics moves the markets? There is a Nancy Pelosi stock tracker. If you just mirror her, I'm sorry, not Nancy Pelosi, her husband, because Nancy doesn't trade. Madam Speaker, your trades are like printing money and you are in charge of all these stuff. Isn't that wrong? I don't do any trades. My husband does them. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Thanks for clearing that up. So, ladies and gentlemen, enough of this rant. Politics drives the markets. You don't want to listen to my politics? Don't join up. I really don't care. But I print money. So, zero hedge is a must look at. The next one on your list of resources, and we'll get back to the Wall Street Journal and some other one of them, is Forex Factory. I ain't trading Forex. I'd rather get my teeth drilled. But it's one of the best calendars. Let me give you the link to the calendar that you will see anywhere. It's a great aggregator of the weekly flight schedule. Now let's look. Excuse me. What's today? Okay, so obviously Japan, US, that's the United States, New Zealand, China. I miss how he said China. So that's the date. Those are the times. That's the country. And then you see this little, they look like folders, but I guess they're flames. Yellow is like low impact expected. Orange is medium. And then red says high impact expected. Oh, what is this? Well, the Federal Reserve chief is testifying. Well, of course, that's going to be high impact expected. Okay. Now, macroeconomic data are listed like this. Let's go to Thursday, which is going to be a massive day for US markets. CPI. Inflation, folks, high impact expected before market open, 8:30 in the morning. Rick Santelli will be on CNBC breathlessly telling you what the inflation print is. Over here on the right, that's the previous month's number. This is the forecast. Click on the little bar chart over here and you can see what's going on. The slider down here, you can kind of, move it around and, oh, geez. Well, let's just kind of take a look at something real quick, folks. You want to talk politics? And I can't stand Donald Trump, but you ready? Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Inflation under Donald Trump. It peaked 3 times at 2.5%. Boom. Joe Biden and Democrats, for the love of God and all things holy. Oh, it was Putin and Ukraine and COVID and supply chain issues. It had nothing to do with like $10 trillion in spending. Remember Nancy Pelosi? Like 25 million to the Kennedy Center. The fuck does that have to do with anything? No, it's needed. What? Spending like drunken sailors. And I know a little bit about spending like a drunken sailor. What happened to inflation? Hey, it's really coming down. Boing. It is stuck up here above 3%. Let me just, let's put the 2.5%, folks. We are stuck up here. Inflation is sticky. We are burning to death from inflation. But you ready for this? What happened last month? The forecast was 3.4%. It came in at 3.3%. What did the market do? Rip your face off rally. Inflation is softening, Wiz. Other than that, Mrs. Kennedy, how was the parade? It's softening? Yes, it's trending in the right direction. It's stuck above 3, dude. Doesn't matter. Jerome Powell is most likely going to cut interest rates. Right back here, folks, in November and December, this was actually real market trading. And then right here is when Jerome Powell said, I think everything's starting to look good. We might cut interest rates next year. A rip your face off rally, and we haven't looked back. Real quick, while we're still on Forex Factory, I'm going to make a prediction. Between now and the election, you will not hear one negative macroeconomic data report out of this government. Zero chance. Did you not see the press conference with Jerome Powell last month where he said the jobs numbers are fudged? The Federal Reserve Chief of the United States admitted that most likely the jobs numbers are. The BLS, folks, does not stand for Bureau of Labor Statistics. It stands for Biden Labor Statistics. Under Barack Hussein Obama, months before the election, the jobs numbers were insanely good. The Inspector General of the BLS, the Labor Department, did an investigation. Of course, it took a year and a half to investigate, and it was a page A12 story in the Wall Street Journal, but 85 out of the 100 economists at the BLS donated to the Obama campaign. If you believe any number that comes out of the government, you're a fool. Doesn't matter. I'm going to teach you all this stuff. Why? Because I have to tell you the innards. When the innards are rotten, you need to know. Because the market only cares when it cares. There might be a day in the future where the market starts to care that everything's rotten. And when, not if, that reckoning happens, I will print money as everything burns to the ground. Well, that doesn't sound pleasant. It actually does, because I'll be in a massive estate in Colorado, armed to the teeth. So, Forex Factory, click on calendar, and this is your weekly flight schedule. If you're like me and you're an idiot, click on the file right here and check it out. What's the source? Biden labor statistics. Then I kind of skip everything to go down to the whiz section. Why do traders care about this number? And it gives you a political science major sentence of why this is why you should care about this. Over here on the right, you can see previous reports and actually what it was. And then down here, this is a good section, related stories about what that economic report is. Okay, so Forex Factory is an absolute must. Wall Street Journal, zero hedge Forex Factory for the flight schedule. Okay, now stockcharts.com. Well, Wiz, don't you have an E-Trade account, dude, that has charting on it? Yeah, and it sucks. I like stock charts. There's so much more on here than my E-Trade account. Okay, a lot more studies you can do, a lot of stuff right here. Actually, let me put my 100-day moving average up here. 100-day moving average. I'm going to teach you all this stuff, some technical analysis stuff. Let me talk about that real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, my trading methodology is an E2 Hawkeye or an AWACS. Anybody ever see a big airliner with a UFO on top? Looks like it's stealing it. An AWACS or an E2 Hawkeye in the Navy. There's a bunch of dudes and ladies in the back looking at different scopes and stuff. That's how I trade. One of my scopes is technical analysis. Okay. Now there are folks, my buddy Bart, there are people that are CMTs, certified market technicians. There are people who swear by technical analysis. If you took technical analysis and talked about it on our trade floor at a volatility arbitrage firm, they would have thrown you out the window. I was told we used to burn witches too. I'm like, you guys don't use technical analysis? Does anybody in this room have a broker that lets them trade off the left side of a chart? Almost all technical analysis is based on what? The left. Ain't nobody in this room making money trading off the left side of the chart. Where do I live and have to trade? In the white. You make money trading the right side of the chart, projecting your thoughts forward in space and time. Does everybody understand that? But I get it. The left side of the chart can help you with trends. The trend is your friend. Look at this. We bounced off the 20-day moving average about 9 times. There's a little whiz in here, so to speak, and then we're doing the same thing. I get it. I look at technical analysis. That's one of the scopes in my AWACS. Another scope that I look at are fundamentals. Cash flow, debt, all sorts of stuff. The fundamentals of a company. But I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in March of 2020, I still have it. It's got I Love Me stuff on it now. But before, my bookcases were filled with books on trading and technical analysis and stuff. Almost every book is gone. In March of 2020, I think it was that morning. Actually, I wish I'd taken a picture. It was the morning of the 6 million weekly jobless claims number. Rick Santelli about had a heart attack. It was a Thursday morning, 8:30, weekly jobless number. 6 million Americans. As I was getting ready to hit enter on the most bearish trade of my life, what happened? Jerome Powell came in and essentially ended fair and free markets in the United States. He dropped the biggest financial nuclear weapon known to man. I deleted that bearish trade and I hit enter on one of the most bullish trades. I think that was a $150,000, $200,000 trade. And I threw every one of my books in the recycling bin. So still there's an old whiz, kind of like before I did psychedelic assisted therapy, there's still a little ego, there's still a little old trading whiz that fundamentals at some level have to matter. Math eventually matters. Take a look at Peloton. At the height of the COVID bullshit, I'm like, short Peloton. People, this thing is going to end up being an expensive clothes hanger for most people. Who the hell wants to work out and sweat in their living room? Peloton is stupid. Math is going to matter with Peloton. It went from being a $172 stock to $3. If you listened to me and you shorted Peloton, you probably made about $5 million. Why? Because math eventually mattered. This was all bullshit. Oh my God, we're all going to be locked in our homes for the rest of our lives. Let's buy bikes and get yelled at by people on TV. What? Math ended up mattering. Money. Anheuser-Busch. We traded Bud last year during its stupidity. We destroyed it. We printed money last year trading Bud on their stupidity. So fundamentals do still matter on some level. But I remember trading Amazon, folks, back in the day. I remember trading Amazon when I was on Trade Monster. And you ready for this? Where is it? Down here. PE, price to earnings. The stock price, it's a ratio. I'm a political science major. We're not going to dig into math too much. Price to earnings ratio. It was around 3,000. Trade Monster didn't have enough decimal points coded into their PE. Right? So, did I, back when Amazon, somebody Google if you can, what was the highest PE? It was like, whatever. Did I short Amazon at the time? This wasn't my father and mother stock market, right? Oh my God, price to earnings ratio. Look at the stock price and what they're earning right now. I would short this stock. If you did, you'd be broke. Why? Because it's Amazon. It was a different model. Jeff Bezos, who just sold about $1 billion of his Amazon stock, which we can talk about, was doing what? Betting on the come. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to be the Death Star. Wiz is going to call me. He's going to start his own trading service called Trading the Death Star. Okay? So fundamentals on some level matter, but you have to be very specific. So I talked about technical analysis. I talked about fundamentals. And then as we start talking about options, Wednesday night and the following sessions, we will talk about a little bit of volatility. Okay, so I also look at volatility. If you have no idea what that word means and you want to sound cool at a cocktail party, you can use it. If you're like me, it's uncertainty. Volatility means how much uncertainty. Think of I'm down here in South Florida, think of a hurricane coming, a storm. Storm's coming, hurricane premiums, insurance goes through the roof. Storm passes, premiums fall, right? That's just a basic example. So we will also talk about what is called volatility when it comes to trading. So technical analysis, fundamentals, and a little bit of volatility. Okay. All right. A couple more resources and then we're going to move on. FinViz, financial visualizations. This is a great website. finviz.com. And it's a great site for a whole host of reasons. Okay, let me give you the link to that. Finviz is awesome. Okay, let me get this ad blocker here. There we go. Block element right there. Block. All right, love my ad blocker. So let's go through this real quick. Let's start with the visualization. This is what is called a heat map. This is a heat map of right now the S&P 500. Block element, boom, block. So look at it. It's kind of self-explanatory. NVIDIA right now is a big square because it's up 2%. Microsoft, also a big square, a little bit green. But yeah, blindingly green, it's up a lot, a little bit of green, red is down. There's MasterCard and Visa getting hit today. You can kind of get a look, an overall look. Neutral color, Amazon's flat for the day. Tesla's down a little bit after the raging. Now, I am not a registered investment advisor. I'm not a broker dealer. I don't want to be either one of those things. I want to stay as far away as Uncle Sam as possible. Why do I ramble about that? Because some people say, Wiz, if I wanted a diversified portfolio, what should I do? And immediately I tell them, you don't do any of that. A diversified portfolio is for stupid people. It's for lazy people. A diversified portfolio makes very little sense for those who know what they're doing. I didn't say that. Warren Buffett said that. The only stock you need to trade is Amazon. And we'll talk about that some other time because you need to join our solo Amazon service. But in lieu of me making them feel bad, calling them an idiot because they ask about a diversified portfolio, come here and look. You want a diversified portfolio? You know what? I'm going to have a tech stock, maybe a semi, a financial stock, a consumer cyclical, maybe a healthcare. I think that sector sucks unless you're into psychedelics. Maybe a defensive consumer stock, Walmart, Procter & Gamble, Costco, maybe an industrial, Boeing, can it go any lower? Raytheon, maybe a defense stock, and maybe an energy or utility or something like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you wanted to create your own little hedge fund, come look at this heat map and go, I'm going to pick the best name in each one of those, buy it, and never look at it again. You probably would do better than most hedge fund managers, I guarantee you. Okay. Then over here on the heat map, you can also click ETFs. An ETF, ladies and gentlemen, is called an exchange traded fund. What's that mean? Quick story. When I was 21, 22-year-old kid, commissioned as an ensign in the Navy, and I drove down to Naval Air Station Key West, my girlfriend, soon-to-be bride, joined me. I taught myself how to trade. I think my first investment was like $25 to the USAA Aggressive Growth Mutual Fund, which was a lot of money for me. And then I saw my beautiful girlfriend shopping at Ann Taylor all the time. And when I was with her, I used my American Express card. That was my first 2 stocks. I'm like, why am I paying a mutual fund fee or manager when I can kind of do it? So an ETF, folks, is nothing but a basket of stocks. I could have made the Wiz ETF with Ann Taylor and American Express. And by the way, those 2 investments did really well. So an ETF is nothing but a basket of stocks. Okay. Exchange traded fund. But if you wanted to have a diversified portfolio with ETFs, maybe pick a US one, a sector one, technology or something like that. Maybe a global one. GDX is a gold, maybe an emerging markets one, and maybe a fixed income with treasuries. If you were a monkey, you could do the same thing. The Wall Street Journal, speaking of that again, has done this several times. I don't think they've used actual monkeys. I think the original story they actually did. Monkeys throwing darts, because I'm old enough to remember when I was a kid, my dad's newspaper in my face, eating my Mikey Life cereal, of stock quotes in the paper with fractions. Now they're obviously in decimals. But the Wall Street Journal actually had monkeys throw darts. And the monkeys throwing dart portfolio did better than the best hedge fund that year. They've done that recently. They just did a random selection of stocks and they beat most of the S&P 500 managers. So what I'm getting at is you could make your own diversified portfolio looking at this heat map and going, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Most likely you're going to do pretty damn good. All right, so that's the heat map of FinViz. Now let's go again to the front page here. The top is pretty cool right now, right? Hey, what are all the top gainers so far today? Who's making new highs? Unusual volume. Why is that important? Well, let me give you a quick story. I forget how long ago, maybe a decade, somebody can Google it. 3G Capital and Warren Buffett were going to buy Heinz, Teresa Heinz Carey. Warren Buffett, 3G Capital were going to buy Heinz ketchup. Heinz ketchup, folks, or Heinz, I think the options activity was maybe somebody bought a call every 90 years. There was no options activity really in this name. 2 days before the deal was announced, somebody bought like 100,000 call options. 2 days later, when the deal was announced, those things made like, I don't know, 30 million bucks, something obscene. Well, guess what? I mean, the CFTC or FINRA, whoever's like, what? They looked into it. Goldman Sachs, of course. Goldman Sachs is like, whoa, hey, not us. They traced it to like some Goldman Sachs account, like in Switzerland or whatever, and the trail went cold. I knew somebody at the time, and he's like, dude, it was the Chinese. The Chinese are hacked into everything. They're hacked into Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. They read all the deal flow. Somebody made too large of a trade. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. So, unusual volume, ladies and gentlemen, getting an alert that, hey, this name usually is dead or doesn't trade this much, but today it's exploding or imploding might be a potential trade idea. You're going to hear, well, I'll say it right now. I was going to say, you're going to hear me in a little bit tell you this. I've done that in my past and I'm old now. It just doesn't excite me. There are services you can join there. I mean, I trade what I know and I make a lot of money and I enjoy it. This stuff was a little younger, 30, 40-year-old whiz like, holy shit, my unusual option scanner, this guy, and then I'm going to just buy some calls. Sometimes it was really super profitable and other times I got my ass handed to me. So it ended up, I'll tell you anecdotally, being a wash, meaning, if you want to do it, knock yourself out. Over on the right, top losers, who's making new lows, volatile, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you are going to be in your investing some sort of technical analysis guru, this section is really cool. I like sometimes trading iron condors. You will learn next week that an iron condor is a range-bound trade. It's a football field trade. You can run this, the stock can run all over the place as long as it doesn't step out of bounds. Well, look at this. They have a scanner on this front page that says, hey, these are names that are channeling right now, meaning they're moving sideways. Sky, FBMS, blah, blah, whatever. I'm going to warn you right now, folks, I don't look at any of this. I have no idea. I've never heard of First Trust Cloud Computing. I've never heard of First Bank Shares Inc. of Mississippi. Some people do this. I've never heard of it either, but it's clearly in a range. Okay, knock yourself out and do an iron condor. I don't like trading names I don't know. But I will tell you folks, people can do pretty good at this. There were traders at my firm in Chicago, they didn't even know the name of the underlying they were trading. One of the tools that we had, no offense to monkeys, was called the monkey tool. If it was green, you sold that option. If it was flashing red, you bought it. We, the executives, called it the monkey tool because the traders were our monkeys. So don't tell them we said that. So here's a bunch of technical analysis stuff, excuse me, in the middle. Over here, hidden under a banner ad, These are names right now with major news. Something's going on in these names, so you could look at that. And then scroll down a little bit more. This is really cool. Insider trading. What? Isn't that illegal, Wiz? No. Well, what they are getting at is if you are a company insider, CEO, CFO, COO, vice president, executive vice president, you are required by law to disclose your buying and selling of stock or options or warrants or anything. Look at over here on the right, folks. Top insider trading. Jeff Bezos, July 5th, 2nd, and 8th. It's the 10th, Wiz. Yeah, I know. You would think they changed the law like the instant you sell something, you have to disclose it, but it's still like 1980s rules. So these are days old. Okay. But ladies and gentlemen, they have to be disclosed, right? So look at this. Anything with green, obviously, is buying. The president and CEO of Renton Fund, never heard of it, is buying, and the dollar amounts are over here. What was Jeff Bezos? It was $890,000. Whatever. But anyway, I also bring this up, folks, because let's get back to the Wall Street Journal. It seems like maybe once a year or once every couple of years, the Wall Street Journal does what? A cover story about, hey, it's really weird that these CEOs and CFOs of these 10 companies had stock sales or purchases pretty damn close to something big happening. So we're going to do an investigation. You can Google this as well. Some of those news stories by the Wall Street Journal resulted in CEOs going to prison or getting into a lot of trouble. So most of these stock sales and purchases are on a plan so they can avoid stuff like that. But when you read the small print, there's a catch-all sentence like, even though this is the plan, that the CEO at any time can change the plan. Okay. So insider selling and buying can be a potential canary in the coal mine for us. Okay. Does everybody understand that? So FinViz, folks, is awesome. If you don't want to just look at Zero Hedge, click at the top up here, news, and look what happens. Just about you see that little Zero Hedge sign? These are all the Zero Hedge articles. So this aggregates a lot of Zero Hedge's blog posts. And then over here on the left, the news feed is pretty damn tight. New York Times, Market Watch, Wall Street Journal, Benzinga, Bloomberg, Yahoo Finance down here. So if you want one location to grab all your Zero Hedge stuff and then all the news stuff on as well, FinViz is the place to go. Okay. And finally, with my Intel sources and stuff like that, your brokerage platform. Let's pull up Amazon. I use E-Trade. Quick, I don't get paid by E-Trade. I used to get a little referral fee, a couple $100 if you open an account. Morgan Stanley bought E-Trade and they severed all those type of relationships. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to push your platform, but I am a little bit, because if you want to learn how to trade and invest and you're brand new and you go open a Schwab account or Thinkorswim or Interactive Brokers, I'm flying an F-18. You're flying an F-16, which sucks. You're going to be like, hey, what's this options ticket? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm using E-Trade, folks. So if you're new, I strongly recommend opening an E-Trade account. I really do think it's the best platform for trading options. I've been on Thinkorswim. I can't stand Tom Salznoff, even though he went to Tasty Trade. I just don't like Thinkorswim. Interactive Brokers, I like the commissions structure. I love Thomas Petterfy. He escaped Hungary, one of them. When Soviet tanks were rolling in, he came to America and started Interactive Brokers. Thomas Petterfy, ladies and gentlemen, in 1991, 2, literally took a desktop, this type of desk, put a massive computer on it and wheeled it onto the floor. Thomas Petterfy was the first man to computerize options chains and trading. And he never looked back. He's a billionaire and a great American. Okay. So, but on E-Trade, go over to quote and you'll get a bunch of stuff. And also down here to the left, Jeff Bezos now owns less than 9% of Amazon. Ooh. Amazon this. So there's a news feed over here as well, just on this name. Okay. So your brokerage platform is obviously another good intel gathering source. Any questions on these? If it seems like a lot, it isn't. But on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, there's no way the guys in the smoke-filled room with the cigars who made options could have envisioned an internet or the fact that we would have access to this information. Folks, I remember, again, I'm calling USAA and using the touchpad to get stock quotes. That's how old I am, folks. So this technology now is more or less giving us a hell of a lot more playing field with the quote big boys on Wall Street. Okay. All right. Other intelligence sources. You're looking at them, folks. CNBC, there's Jerome Powell testifying right now, Fox Business News, Bloomberg. But I have got to be honest with you, folks. They are cheerleaders. What's the current thing? Market's going up. Yay! Get everybody on here that says the market's going up and cheerleading. Okay, holy shit, the market turned. Oh, boo, get all the bearish people on here. If it bleeds, it leads, folks. Ain't nobody on CNBC that ain't a cheerleader. They have to, now that there's new laws, do a better job of what? Disclosing. I'm old enough to remember the old days. Guy in a nice looking suit, good looking dude. I'd sell my mother-in-law and mortgage my home to buy this stock. Oh my God, that guy's right. Buy it, goes to zero. Little did you know, that's the only thing he was investing in, and he was pumping his own shit, right? So take everything on CNBC with a grain of salt. One of my biggest professional achievements was calling CNBC and saying, hey, I want to do an ad test. I want to spend 250 grand on commercials. Guess what happened? They said no. Why? You run the Options News Network, right? I'm like, yeah, you're a competitor. I was like, what? That's awesome. I was like, I'm not a competitor, but I had to fly. I flew to Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, met with CNBC executives, and I'm like, dude, I'm 100% options, man. I know you have John and Pete Nigerian, but really? They ended up taking my money. If you want, I can send you the 3 Options News Network commercials I did. They were really funny and cool. But it's a business, folks. So you can get some information from CNBC. Watching live testimony right now of Jerome Powell is pretty damn cool. We do it in our elite trading squadrons, Max Afterburner, and then the Hunters. When Jerome's giving a press conference, man, we can literally, I'll fire sniper shots, S&P 500 trades in and out in a couple minutes, and we print money. So they're good for that. But some of the segments, folks, they're cheerleading. Okay. Max Afterburner. It's our elite squadron here. I share all of my personal intel as well with the Max Afterburner and now the Hunters, because the Hunters have a good looking thing as well. This thing right here, folks, this cell phone is literally priceless to me. The guy in my buddy in the White House telling me like, dude, COVID, this, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm in a mastermind group, Tuesdays, Thursdays. I call. We got hedge fund guys. We got people in DC. I got people in the Pentagon. It's a renaissance group of investors. We got people at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. I get so much good intel from that. It all goes in here. The Max after in our intel and commentary thread. And then there's our, trade alerts thread. So any intel and commentary I'm getting, it's getting posted right in here. Any trade alerts that I do get posted in here. We have an app on your phone, and we get alerts on the phone that says, "Hey, Wiz just placed this trade." Okay, so any questions before we move on anything on your screen? Intel sources that I use. Smart remarks, comments. All right, investing basics, folks. I already kind of gave you the basics of a brokerage account. Just open a brokerage account. I think most brokerages now require a minimum of $1,000 to open an account, and most of them require about $2,000 to at least trade on margin. What's margin? It's a loan, right? I have $1,000 in my account or $2,000 in my account. They will plus that up and give you, quote, $4,000 of haircut. That's the industry term, is haircut. Margin, right? It's technically a loan. Hey, Wiz, I know you got $2,000 in here, but we're going to give you leverage up to $4,000. Great. Well, what did I say earlier? Leverage is great, but it's not great when it sucks. So, like I said earlier, I tell my flight students, don't suck. Invest in what you know, folks. The hot stock tip at the water cooler or the this or the that, it might work out for you every once in a while, and then it's not. Invest in what you know. Sitting here wearing Lululemon, right? Type of stuff, and aloe. I live trading Amazon. I flew a Boeing aircraft. You trade what you know. Anything other than that, I define as a foray. Vietnam was a foray. Korea, it was a police action. It wasn't the Korean War. And how'd that turn out for us? So whether it's Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and hell, we can even say Afghanistan was a 20-year foray. When you stray outside what you know and what your core is, it tends to suck. So invest, ladies and gentlemen, in what you know. I tell, if you're in our solo Amazon service, it's so easy to just trade one name as long as it's a good name. I tell people all the time, my example of my buddy here in God's waiting room, Boca Raton, right? Dr. Handel, Doc Handel, 33 positions, man. A surgical stock, a pot stock, a this stock. I'm like, gee, for the love of God and all things holy. He's like, yeah, I trade like in between appointments. I'm like, no wonder doctors are always late. You're out in the hallway looking at your cell phone. The guy had 33 positions, man. He didn't know that shit. I simplified that guy's life, and he's printing money now just trading Amazon. You're welcome, Doc. Invest in what you know. Don't diversify. It's so stupid, man. People are like, well, if I sit at the blackjack table and I trade like 9 different, hands, I'll increase my odds. I don't gamble, man. I hate sitting at a table having a watered down drink. That sucks because I don't drink anymore. And seeing my money slide away from me. Do not diversify, folks. It's for stupid people. Does everybody understand that? I don't mean to be rude when I'm saying that. I'm trying to help you out by being direct. I don't have time for the niceties. All right, here we go. We are right on time. 1 + 1 = 5. We got about 15 minutes left, and this is going to be an absolute critical 15 minutes. I'm going to review our methodology here at TOPGUN Options, and then we're going to get into the trade plan. Right now, go over there and look, or wait, view. Let me make sure you can view. Can you guys see the options? Attendees can view materials. Sorry. There it is right there. Options, clicked. Attendees can view materials. Now, magically, the materials just popped up. Does everybody have that? This is the one we're going to step through right now after our methodology. This is worth the price of being here. I guarantee you. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to brief our methodology, the trade plan, brief the flight, and then fly the brief. In our live trading sessions, Monday through Wednesday, I step through this trade plan, man. I know it like I've been doing it for over 3 decades, folks. So it's like breathing to me. So you're going to hear me go through it, but every once in a while, I should probably every once in a while, I'll say, all right, now we're at step 3. But it's like breathing for me, folks. But if you are not doing this before every investment or trade, you're going to fail and you're going to suck. 90% of trading is emotional. I want you to sit with that for a second. Do you understand me? If we can take the emotion out of our trading, you will be extremely successful as we go forward in our options weapons school training and I start looking at trades. I'm going to show you where in that part of a trade that says max potential loss. If you look at the max potential loss in a trade and you go to yourself, oh my God, that better not happen, and you place that trade, you're an idiot. Count on that happening. If you look at the amount of money that you could potentially lose in a trade and you go, meh, well, that would suck, but it's not gonna blow me out. Now you're talking. Do not trade with money you can't afford to lose. I know that's an easy thing to say. I can't afford to lose any money. Well, then don't trade over your head like super bad. Baby steps, 1 contract, 2 contracts, a handful of contracts. Ladies and gentlemen, I strongly recommend you open a brokerage account with E-Trade, Thinkorswim, Interactive Brokers that has a paper trading, a virtual trading platform. E-Trade gives you a free $100,000 of monopoly money. It's the simulator building, folks. Kid, me, Punch, we didn't walk out to the flight line after reading a book on aerodynamics and hop in the airplane. We went to the simulator building, start procedures, engine fire, spin, land aboard the boat. We did everything in training, and then we went out to the airplane. Same thing with trading, folks. Do not get airborne. You might be able to get airborne after reading a book on aerodynamics in the F-18. You'll be dead in a couple minutes. You are the tick, folks, not me. You are the trader in command of your portfolio, not me. We are single seat fighter pilots. We are single seat traders. I ain't reaching over into your cockpit, so to speak, and grabbing the stick and throttle for you. You got to do it. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, but what you do on your side of the computer is up to you. You are the trader in command. What's going to take the emotion out of trading? Having a methodology and having a plan. Here we go. SOT. Strategic, operational, tactical. If you are new to investing and trading, you're going to do this unless you stay here and become awesome. You're going to be a very tactical trader. You're going to wake up in the morning, put on your bunny slippers, take a sip of coffee, turn on CNBC and go, what should I trade today? Are you serious? You don't even know what you're doing for lunch today, let alone what you should trade. Most traders are very, very tactical traders. Okay. I'm going to break you of that, or if you're not already doing this, I'm going to mold you like a fine piece of clay to trade like this. SOT. First 5, 10, 15 minutes max, depending on what's going on in the world, we're going to do a strategic brief. What's going on around the world, globally, economically, politically, militarily. Why do I care about that stuff? Do you remember the Greek debt crisis about 10 years ago? I can't believe my portfolio is blowing up over the island of Crete. Yeah, it did. China, folks, China. Before Trump beat the shit out of China, I used to stay up at like 10 o'clock at night. Holy shit, the Chinese PMI came in weak. Look at our futures imploding. We were tied together. What's going on? Italy, the Eurozone. Does anybody remember the Brexit vote? I do. I made $22,000 being wrong. I thought they'd vote to stay. But guess what happened going into the vote? The VIX went through the roof and our markets imploded. And I got it wrong. I made 11 grand up. And then when the vote happened, I'm like, oh, I did the reverse trade. The VIX imploded and the market rallied. And I made another 11 grand. I made 22 grand being wrong. So yes, you need to know, pick up your binoculars and look around the globe. Roll out your radar scope, man. What's going on around the world economically? What about politically? Yep. Elections. Militarily, what happened to the VIX and the S&P 500 when Putin invaded Ukraine? What happened to oil, the price of oil, when Israel was attacked by Iranian 300 cruise missiles? The day will come, folks, when Israel and Iran really go at it. And it most likely will be when Iran gets a nuke and says, you know what, we're just going to wipe you off the face of the planet. Tell me what's going to happen to the VIX in the market when that happens. Not if, I said when. Tell me what's going to happen to the overall market when, not if, Taiwan is taken back by China. You think Mumbles McShitty Pants is going to do anything about that? Get ready for an absolute shit show around the globe. It's already happening. But after the initial shit show happens, we don't care anymore. I love nailing this. People are like, wait, this. I'm like, nope, we're going to move on. The market doesn't care anymore. People are dying. Nope, doesn't matter. So you have got to do a strategic brief, and I'm the best at it. Then we're going to peel back the onion and go one layer deep. Operationally, what's going on here in America? What's Jerome Powell saying? When's he going to cut interest rates? What's JP Morgan's earnings Thursday morning before market open? What's inflation doing? Boom, 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 boom. And also, not just economically, politically. I already rambled about how I love Barack Obama and the Republicans. I miss the government shutdowns. But politics drives the markets. You're looking at one of the only people in this country in 2016 that predicted not only would Donald Trump win the election, the market would rally. New York Times, why would you read that? New York Times cover a couple days before the election. Hillary Clinton, 94% probability of winning. Donald Trump, 6. I'm like, that's a lie. I've been traveling around the country giving keynotes and speaking. I talk to people, they're all voting for Trump. What did they also say? Oh my God, Hillary, she's going to win, the market's going to rally. Donald Trump wins, the market's going to crash. I'm like, he's a fucking businessman, not some carpetbagger who moved from Arkansas to New York. Donald Trump won, market rallied. Me and Jeffrey Gumlock got it right. So you have got to talk about the politics too. And finally, after you do a strategic look around the globe, you look around the United States, then and only then, say it with me, can you get tactical and trade. So this is why randomly people drop out. I don't want to listen to any of your bullshit. Just give me some trades. And I throw those people out. I don't want them here. I'm not breaking what I've done for 30 years just because you want some trades. I'm going to get to the trades, baby. You don't want to wait? You can leave. I don't need you. All right, here we go. Sit up straight. Does everybody have that trade plan now that you can see it? This is worth its weight in gold. We're going to go through this, folks. I'm not a typer. Over in the handle materials, I put an Excel sheet. I'm a political science major. I'm a kid from South Jersey, folks, South Philadelphia. No, thank you. There is something about picking up a pen. I have one of these old colored pens. Something bad's going on. I lose on a trade. There's the red. I made money on that trade. There's the green. Why? So I can flip through this stuff. Okay. I know psychologically there is something about you picking up a pen and writing out this trade plan. Why? 2 weeks from now, if this trade is going against you, you're going to look at your own words and it's going to say, oh man, I said if this happened 2 weeks ago that I'd get out of it or I'd do this. I'm going to do that. Yay. Or look at my own handwriting. 2 weeks ago, I said, if this happened, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm the commanding officer and I'm making a decision. Good for you then. You are violating your SOP, your standard operating procedures, and your trade plan, but you can, since you're the tick, you're the trader in command. Now, if it works out for you, give yourself a medal. If it doesn't, choke yourself. But at least you wrote it down and you made a decision. So I'm going to step through all of this stuff right now, but this is worth its weight in gold. Okay? You're welcome. Here we go. 7-step trade plan. SOT. Now we're at the tactical part, and I'll do this in our live trade briefs Monday through Wednesday. If you're not in our live trading sessions, also choke yourself. Step 1, 100,000 foot, man. When I got into any brief in the military, we started with the big picture. Why are we sitting in this brief today? Before we talk tactically about a mission. This is what the commander-in-chief has ordered. This is what our carrier battle group, this is what our commanding officer is wanting us to do today. What is your strategic mindset? There's 4 of them. Bullish, you think the market's going up. Bearish, you think the market's going down. Volatile, all over the place, man. It's up, it's down, we're ripping all over the place. Or neutral. We're kind of hovering sideways here, Wiz. I haven't seen neutral in a while. And then we can have variations. What does that mean? During the COVID crash, ladies and gentlemen, I was extremely bearish. And then when Jerome Powell dropped the biggest financial nuke known to man, I was very bullish. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go look at the S&P 500. I, right now, am cautiously bullish. What's the cautiously mean? I know, ladies and gentlemen, this is a MacGyver rally. It's built on bullshit. It's a straw, a paperclip, and a bubblegum wrapper. That's what is holding this market up. It is on hope of a rate cut. So the cautiously bullish means that we're ripping higher, man. Momentum is a thing. The trend is your friend. But the cautiously part is, God forbid something happens. I don't even like talking about this, but it's a possibility. Breaking news, Joe Biden, stroke, dead. The market will crash for a half a day and then rally. Breaking news, China has invaded Taiwan, something, whatever. The cautiously part means I'm bullish, but I'm ready for this thing to implode. So you can have variations of your strategic mindset. But before you get tactical and do anything else, you at least know this is where I'm starting from. Okay. Step 2 of the trade plan is, what's your target, man? What are you going to trade? It's either going to be a stock, it's either going to be an ETF that we talked about, an exchange traded fund, or an index like the S&P 500, the VIX, the volatility index, or the RUT, the Russell 2000. Now, with this little tip right here, folks, I just paid for your annual Full Throttle membership. Do not trade an ETF that has an index. For example, the SPY is an ETF that mirrors the S&P 500. But the SPX is actually the S&P 500. If you trade the SPX over the SPY, you get better tax treatment. I love getting emails randomly when people are like, dude, I went back and did, I'm like, you're welcome. Donate to the foundation. Do not trade an ETF when you can trade the actual index. You will thank me on every April 15th. Also, as we get deeper into our training, I'm going to tell you that it's better to trade indexes because they settle in cash. ETFs settle in shares, which could be bad. If you don't understand what I just said, that's because I haven't covered it yet in training. We will get to this. Everybody give me a vertical head nod. So step 2, target. I have my strategic mindset, Wiz. I'm cautiously bullish. My target is Amazon. Great. Now you move on to step 3, the most important part, or equally important part of your trade plan. Commit criteria. Why am I committing capital to this trade? I work hard for my money, Wiz. Why am I going to put my money behind this trade, this investment? Why am I in it? Ladies and gentlemen, commit criteria is taken from fighter aviation. When I am flying, Kid and I are flying a combat air patrol and we're just hanging out and there's bad guys over there. Well, they're not pointing at us and they're just hanging out. All right, well, we're not going to commit on them. We're going to hang out too. Uh-oh, the bad guys are now pointing at us. They're accelerating and they're climbing. Oh, shit. That hit my and kids' commit criteria to point our nose at them, fights on. So I took commit criteria from fighter aviation, but it's equally the same. Why are you committing capital to this trade? Why am I committing my $65 million Hornet and pink body into combat? Okay. It's 3 to 5 sentences. Look at the piece of paper. Look at your trade plan. It's got room for about 3 to 5 sentences. I call it the cocktail party pitch. If we're at a cocktail party and you tell me you're in a trade, I'm going to say why. You need to hit me with 3 to 5 sentences, like boom, 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 boom. When you're done briefing me on your commit criteria, if I don't look at you and go, holy shit, I can't believe I'm not in that trade, your commit criteria suck. I love testing people who aren't at TOPGUN options. Like, oh, you're a trader? I trade too. Well, I'm in this position. Why? Well, I like it. What? If you can't hit me with 3 to 5 sentences, you're a fool. Now, the second most important part of step 3 is this. If any of those sentences change, get out of the trade. Discipline, risk management, superior execution. Do you know how many times people write their own damn commit criteria down and a couple weeks later they read it and go, holy shit, those 2 sentences are blown out of the water, but I'm going to stay in it. Apple doesn't hate me. Apple's going to come back. Apple would steamroll over your house and your family if they could, folks. When your commit, or if your commit criteria change, get out. That's the non-emotion, folks. This is where people fail the most. Well, Wiz, all 5 of these sentences aren't valid, but I'm going to stay in it. All right, man. I'll see you at the memorial service. Do you understand me? The most important part of your trade plan is the commit criteria. Why are you getting in it? It seems so basic. And after 3 decades of doing this and dealing with retail traders, this is where they all fail. They either don't have it or they don't fly the brief. Step 4, we have our strategic mindset. We have our target. Here's my commit criteria, baby. Now we're going to pick the tactic. Over in your materials, I've given you the OPCL, the options pocket checklist. Do not freak out. I have a F18 checklist. I have a PCL pocket checklist sitting over on my bookshelf. It's the Bible, the F18 flight manual, which is like a phone book squeezed into that fits in my G Suite pocket. I did the same thing with all the options books on the planet. Probably about this many books. I squeezed them into a options pocket checklist. When you open your OPCL and you see 32 tactics, really quick, folks, there is no such thing as an option strategy. If you go to one of these briefs and the dude or the lady's like, my favorite option strategy, leave the brief because they're stupid. If you do not know the difference between a strategy, high-level strategy, saving for college, short-term income generation, managing risk, buying a boat in 6 months, buying an L39. Those are strategies. Tactics support a strategy. Iron condor, covered calls, cash secured put. Those are tactics. I absolutely will take credit. When I was in Chicago, I changed the terminology. I started hearing my own words come back to me. People who would have never well, we're going to do this options tactic. I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. So the tactics that you'll see in the OPCL, do not be worried. I use about 5 of them. I think the F18, I don't even know. It's not professionally embarrassing. It's funny. I think the F18 variant that I flew could carry 85 weapons. I remember the one year, the weapons officer's like, we're all going to go to the simulator today. We're going to learn how to drop mines, not mines, like stuck in a box or pulling on a rope. And we all looked at each other like, we can drop mines? We didn't know that. So the F-18 could carry 85 weapons. I think in my career, I did 5 to 10 of them. Same thing with options trading. When I used to go to cocktail parties and I hear people like, oh, I trade reverse iron condor, butterfly twist with a cash secured put, cherry on top. I'm like, oh, so you just kind of do this basic tactic and you dress it up a little bit more. Yeah. You tell me your most complex options tactic and I can break it down to one of the basic ones. Okay, so do not worry about 32 tactics. I look at the options pocket checklist every once in a while and go, huh, wow, that's interesting how they would do something like that, but I could also do this. So step 4, tactic. You select your tactic based on what your strategic mindset is and your commit criteria. Okay, not complex at all. To Wednesday night, when we cover the basics of options, if you understand the basics of options, you can do any option tactic. Okay, so step 4 is simply the trade. Step 5, ladies and gentlemen, is tactical employment. How we're going to set up the trade, the individual legs, how much the price is going to be, what range from the market price I'm going to get into. I do all of this in the live trade brief. Okay, this is just how we're going to employ the trade. Okay, step 6, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call mid-course guidance. I never dropped a bomb in anger and closed my eyes and said, I hope that hits bad people. Those bombs, those air-to-air missiles, needed some mid-course guidance. So before we even enter a trade, we're going to decide how we're going to manage it. I haven't even placed the trade yet, folks, and we're going to talk about what we're going to do if something goes wrong or goes right. Not just what if something bad happens, what if something good happens, right? So we have what are called SOPs, standard operating procedures. As we go forward in our training, I'm going to give you my SOPs. For this type of trade, this is my max potential loss. This is my profit target. It is an SOP. I was about to say we don't like to say this, but we say it. The SOPs, ladies and gentlemen, are written in blood. When the F-18 left McDonnell Douglas back in the day, the first F-18, I think the emergency procedures section was about 3 pages. It was the booger eaters, the engineers saying, well, these couple things could happen, and here's what we think you should do. And then after 30 years of flying the Hornet, the emergency procedures section is probably 100 pages. Why? People do stupid shit. Things break, things happen. So the SOP that I'm going to give you has been honed over 30 years, folks. But it's going to be up to you to kind of make your own SOP and how you're going to manage trades. I'm going to show you how I do it. Then you kind of come up with your own. And ladies and gentlemen, we're almost done. Step 7. Why is Colin Powell on your screen? Because it's the exit plan. When George Bush, the naval aviator, not the cokehead, when George Bush, the naval aviator, went to General Powell and said, General, get Iraq out of Kuwait. General Powell saluted and said, yes, sir. Wait, hold on. No. Before you leave, Mr. President, when are we leaving? What is victory? I was a young second lieutenant in Vietnam, Mr. President, and we had no exit plan. Before we go into Kuwait, when are we leaving? You do the same thing in your trading. We haven't even placed a trade yet, ladies and gentlemen, and we know when we're leaving. The bottom of the ocean, a couple miles short of runways, and the side of mountains are full of young naval aviators and Air Force pilots and Army aviators who pushed it. I know the manual says to do this, but I'm going to do that. Boom. Know when it's time to go. And you should know that before you get airborne. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap up really quick with stuff that has nothing to do with trading and investing and everything to do with trading and investing. Well, that's weird. No, it isn't. Do me a favor, start listening to the Max Afterburner podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever cool kids listen to podcasts, because you need to be centered. What the hell does that mean? Ladies and gentlemen, trust me, if I showed up to a full throttle brief today as old whiz and I heard me talking about being centered, I would have kicked my own ass. That man died on the floor of a home in Mexico with Marcus Luttrell and some other national heroes, folks. Do not trade from a place of lack. What does that mean? If you wake up in the morning and go, I need to make money, I must make money, I can't lose money on this trade, you are coming from a place of lack. You are coming from a place of fear, and you're going to trade like that. I told you I meditate 20 minutes every morning and at 3 p.m. as well, before the final closing hour. I do a mid-afternoon meditation as well. If you don't wake up in the morning and start with gratitude, holy shit, I woke up. I'm breathing. I have a roof over my head, maybe a beautiful person lying next to you. I'm in a bed. I'm about to go have a cup of coffee and open a laptop on the internet. I have money in a brokerage account and I'm watching a TV. Start with gratitude. Be thankful to something. I choose to use the word God. You can choose whatever you want. Even if you don't believe in a God, believe in something. Mother Earth. We, you, me, are nothing but cosmic stardust, born from an infinitely small, dense, and hot point source that exploded into this. That's pretty fucking cool. Billions required watching. If the Max Afterburner podcast is listening, you can listen or you can watch on YouTube. You have got to watch this Showtime series. I'm gonna trade brief with Wiz. He's telling me to watch Showtime. Yeah. If you want to really, really, really see how Wall Street works, you have got to watch Billions. If you want to see who's on the other side of your trade and how people do insider trading, hell, folks, some of the smart money that you see on CNBC, they make cameo appearances on Billions. I couldn't watch the last season. It got too woke, but the other ones are good. Bobby Axelrod of Axe Capital is modeled after Steve Cohen. Hedge fund titan, owns the Mets, had me at a Mets game as the veteran of the game. It's molded after a real dude. If you want to see how Wall Street really works, you watch Billions. Required reading. I'm just going to put these on here. I got rid of 40 or so investing books in the COVID crisis. These stayed. This was the first book I read in 2 days when I went up to Chicago. I'm like, I have no idea how to run a Wall Street firm. The partners gave me this book, and I read it in my Golden Triangle townhouse for 2 days. Liar's Poker is a must read. Another good one, When Genius Failed. The Rise and Fall of Long-Term Capital Management. When every market's almost ended because of a couple geniuses. This will prove to you, when genius failed, that there is no such thing as the smart money. As a matter of fact, most of the people are pretty damn stupid. And then this one is pretty good, the Myth of the Rational Market. Markets aren't rational, folks. They're absolutely irrational. This is some pretty good required reading if you're interested in it. Finally, and an hour and a half is a little longer than I wanted to, but we're closing right now. Required reading. The Power of Now will change your life. We can talk about this, or you can listen to it on my podcast. There is no past. There is no future, folks. There is only now. When I did psychedelic assisted therapy that saved and changed my life, I realized that. And now, this will blow your mind, is forever. Trust me, I felt it. I felt infinity, and it was only the present moment. And I'm telling you, folks, all of this stuff, yoga, breath work, and meditation, and now psychedelic assisted therapy, has made me pretty much better at everything I've done. Father, husband, human. It's also made me a better trader. But if you ask Aaron Rodgers, the dude didn't do ayahuasca to be a better football player. He did it to be a better dude. and he became a better football player. So, and also, you know, some of the Joe Dispenza's books are pretty damn good. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. What am I getting at? Get outside of you. Do not sit for 8 hours a day hunched over your laptop trying to make money trading. You'll be miserable. As a matter of fact, in Billions, the Showtime series, Axe and Wags go to Canada and do like an ayahuasca ceremony. They have a meditation room at Axe Capital, right? They know, Wall Street now knows that having happy traders, centered traders makes them more money. So do it. Okay. And finally, folks, required thinking. I already talked about the meditation. Did anyone die? When I was in Chicago at that trading firm, it took about a month for this, and then it stopped happening to me. What happened the first month? Somebody would kick open my door and be like, "Whiz, whiz, whiz." I'm like, "Holy shit, is anybody dead?" And they're like, "What? What?" I'm like, "Is there anybody dead?" No, we're just having problems getting quotes from the Philadelphia Exchange to the floor right now. Fucking relax, dude. I come from a profession where sometimes my door did get kicked open and somebody was dead. Relax. Same thing with you. If you lose money in a trade and you flip the fuck out, you're doing it wrong. Be thankful that you're not dead. You get to live to fight another day. On your trade plan, did you see the section of the trade plan, ladies and gentlemen, over here that has what? The debrief. Did I make money or lose money? Why? Do not close a trade, folks, with the flight ain't complete, folks, until what? The paperwork's done, right? In the maintenance control, signing the aircraft sheet. Your trade ain't done until you write down what happened. Why? So you can learn to either repeat what you did or don't repeat what you did. Does that make sense? Again, most retail traders fail miserably at doing that. Well, I lost money on that trade. Now I got to double up. I'm gonna revenge trade. Stop. Do not revenge trade. Learn what happened. Don't repeat it. Or, man, I crushed on this trade, and this is why I crushed this trade. Write it down. Man, I have trade sheets and papers from years ago. I used to look at how stupid I was. And then I'm not. Why? Because I don't like being stupid. But most retail traders do not debrief their trades and they repeat the same mistakes. And I have zero sympathy for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, it can always be worse. The fact that you're trading and living, and have gratitude for all of that. Okay. Wow. That went entirely longer than I should, but hopefully you can see that I am very passionate about what I do. If you can take some of my passion and apply it to what you do, I guarantee you're going to be successful. I hate people who make guarantees, but I guarantee you, I have people who, oh my God, the trade plan whiz, it saved my life, or I'm a better, awesome. If you take the meditation from it or the hot yoga or something like that from it, awesome. This is me. I've been doing this since 1991, folks. I learn something new every day too. I ain't no Jedi master. I make mistakes still. I fail. I get up, but that circle's tighter now. Trust me, if I do something wrong or fail, it's going to be pretty damn. How am I going to get better? But hopefully, you can see that doing the things that I've briefed you on in this first options weapon school session can make you a more successful, better investor and trader. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. So all that stuff's out of the way. Session 2, Wednesday night, we're going to get into the basics of calls and puts, and we're going to start digging into it. And we're going to take that building block approach that I talked about. By session 7 or 8, you're going to know what you're doing. You're going to be a steely-eyed options killer. But get into the simulator building, folks. Open a brokerage account at a firm that has a training account so you can get up to speed. Okay. If you have any questions, concerns, oh, by the way, smart remarks, if you're in the Max Afterburner group, obviously over here at the Intel and Commentary, just ask me a question. Or if you're in the Hunters right here, same thing. We have our trade alerts thread and our Intel and Commentary. Hang on. Yeah, I think I figured out what it is, man. When I bump this little microphone thing, my microphone cuts out. So my apologies. But you get access to me 24/7, folks. I have this app on my phone, so I am always in here to answer any questions. If you're awake at midnight and you got a burning question, post it in there. I guarantee you I'm probably awake too, and I'll answer it, okay? All right, guys, I got to go. Great stuff. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Make sure you download all the materials if you need them. And you didn't download them, you can always reach out to me, wiz@topgunoptions.com, and I'll hook you up with it, okay? All right, I'll see you Wednesday night at 7 for the basics of options. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged. Fights on. Namaste. And Basi, Basi. Basi means truth in Bawiti. God bless and fights on. I'll see you later.